Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers, presented by Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me live in the Xfinity studio, it is not only Philly's #1 hockey beat reporter, Charlie O'Connor, but also Broad Street Hockey's own Kelly Hinkle. I feel like I haven't seen you in a dog's age.
A dog? You sound like my grandmother.
I don't even know what that means.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It just came out of you.
Yeah.
Spontaneously.
I was trying to think of the silliest thing I could say, and that's what it was.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I missed you guys.
Yeah, it has been, and we have quite a bit to talk about after a. If you were missing high event hockey, you certainly got it last night. We're gonna get into some things that have gone well for the Flyers thus far.
We can remove the Flyers games are boring complaint from the list of complaints, at least for a day or two.
I was gonna say for today.
Yeah, for a day or two.
Today, yeah.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. Before we get into any of that, we have a little programming note for you here at PHLY. Unblocked with Brandon Graham. New time, Thursdays at 8 a.m. starts tomorrow. So make sure you set that reminder bell so you can catch him live. Brandon and Bo Wolf do an incredible job on Unblocked. And this is BG's. It's going to be his first game. So you're going to want to see all about that tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. That is the new time, Thursdays at 8 for Unblocked with BG. All right, let's get into some Flyers stuff, guys. Trevor Zegras, pretty good. All right, that is all the time. A revelation is what I am calling this. Okay. Now, yes, we have seen, in the beginning of his career, those first 2 full seasons specifically, he's had this inside of him. He is super talented, a ton of puck on stick skill, but 4 goals, 11 assists in 13 games. He's been awesome, really, for this team. 15 points through 13 games. Second most ever in franchise history to start a career. They showed this graphic last night. Peter Forsberg, 28 points in those first 13 games.
Ridiculous.
Just absolutely ridiculous how good he was, even like at that point when his career was, nearing an end. But Zegras has been as advertised and, dare I say, better. Leads the team in assists and points. He basically single-handedly has the power play going. We'll get into that.
We'll get into that.
Because I want to credit some other guys as well. But I am very, very excited about this start with Trevor Zegras. So how soon should they think about locking him up?
Yeah,
last week.
This seems like it's now I guess I should be happy that people are talking about that because it's the one thing that people are talking about on social media that isn't complaining about the Flyers. Like, why don't you lock up Trevor Zegras? I really think it's too early, and I don't think they're going to do it now, but I understand why people on social media want it to happen yesterday because he's like the one thing on the team they're not angry at.
You do it now, though, you maybe get a little discount. Can't wait for him to get too good.
Or maybe he won't stay this
I don't like that, Charlie.
I think while like you make the bet and it pays off and you look like a genius. Like, all right, we've known this skill is in there. A big problem the last 2 years, other than feuding with the coach or being in a contract dispute or being used like on a checking line, injuries. You do kind of, okay, the thing is he can't get through a season. Maybe you want to see him get through at least maybe half a season or something like that. And for him, yeah, you want the guarantee, and at a certain point, like the 8 years goes away, so you probably want to get that.
Yeah, but you could get that.
Yeah, but
yeah, you could get that as long as you do it before July 1st.
Yes,
it's a long way until July 1st.
A long time until July 1st. Also, the longer he looks this good, or at least a lot more like his old self, the less you can use the previous 2 years against him. Like, yeah, man, you had a great year in a contract year, but the last 2 years you played 88 games. Like, and you didn't score a ton in those games when you were on the ice. If he gets through 3/4 of a season or even to the off season and he's a 75, 85 point player, suddenly it's a different conversation. Like, yeah, it was the coach. It was Verbeek. It was being in a place where I was seasonally depressed because it was sunny every day. Whatever his excuse was to wish. I do think, like, I would love to get it done, because that would be a fun emergency pod to do. Like, hey, man, remember when we traded for him? Well, now he's here forever. And also, get it done, take the gamble. But I think it makes sense for both sides to wait a little bit.
I just think on my side, and again, like I'm gonna be the downer because I'm not like, oh my god, the greatest thing ever. But like there is a serious bout of shiny new toy syndrome here.
Oh, 100%.
That like everyone is so and he looks great, and that's awesome. But like you don't have to rush into giving a guy a contract after 13 games just because you're excited about it.
Yeah. No, that's why Danny Briere runs the team. Like, hopefully, business school paid off. He
Technically, we're
learned
not in charge.
he learned a little bit about negotiations and regression to the mean and all that. And when they sent him to get his MBA or whatever. But it's hard not to look at what he has done. Not even just the points totals and everything, but like, yeah, we talked so much about that assist he had early in the season to set up Sean Couturier, like fighting through the contact, just looking more. I don't know if he's ever going to be, a Selke contender, but just looking more like a complete hockey player and not just someone who's good at hockey, which that was his stated goal in that Wyshynski piece. Like, it seems like it's coming together. And there have been like a bunch of recent signings. So it's like, I want in on the action. Like Logan Cooley, Marty Natchez, Thomas Harley have all been
but
locked
they're
up.
all in different positions in their career.
Yes, they are in different positions. in their
Natchez was
careers.
a pending UFA,
Yes.
so obviously there's more incentive to get that locked up because you don't want that hanging over his head the way it would have hung over Connor McDavid's head all year, the way it would, way it hung over Mikko Rantanen's head all year before he eventually got traded. So there was more of an incentive to do it. I think my thought process with this is like, and look, I am very much in favor of them if Zegras continues to play this well, of them like signing him at some point during the season. That makes all the sense in the world to me. I don't necessarily want to wait until the offseason to lock this guy up, but I don't think you're going to get that much more savings by signing him on November 5th as opposed to January 5th. Like, what are you going to save an extra like $200,000 a year? Like, yeah, I guess every little bit helps, but
Like money bags
like
over here.
he's still a guy who is coming off 2 underwhelming years, who has an injury history. I personally would feel more comfortable waiting a bit longer. Like 13 games is an extremely small sample. And yes, he's looked very good in these 13 games, but like he's still going to have, even if you do it in January, the 88 games he played the previous 2 years, that's still a larger sample than the sample from mid-January when he's probably like 45, 50 games. So you're still going to be able to get him at a cheaper price. It's not like if you wait until January, suddenly you've got to pay this guy $10 million. Now, maybe if you wait until the offseason, if he scores 100 points and then he's getting the potential of offer sheets, then sure, then you might have to pay through the nose for him. But for now, I don't think there's much downside to waiting this out for a couple more months to see how it plays out and making sure that this is real.
What happens when he wins America a gold medal in a shootout and then suddenly he's American hero? Like, don't tell me TJ Sochi didn't get a couple extra bucks because it was like, we're selling jerseys left and right over here. He wants a piece of that. I'm just saying. No. But now, obviously, a month into the season, not even. We're still like a couple days short, I think.
That is true. We're not even a full month.
Not even a full month into the regular season.
Feels longer.
Like 100 years.
I see other guys getting signed, and yes, they're all at different points. And like, Thomas Harley. Okay, let's get ahead of this thing before we have to give him $15 million or whatever. I get it. It's just. I'm so happy. I'm so happy it's working. I want him here. Like, he wants to be here. Unlike, a guy who plays for the team he used to play for, who had a hat trick last night. I won't actually do it, Kelly. I know you're. No,
I know. I think we should later.
All right, we'll do it later. Now, I'm just, for somebody who's bought in, it seems like, even though they have him on the wing, he's not playing center, which is where he wants to play. He seems content here. And I like guys who want to be here personally. But plenty of time for that re-signing extension conversation. I think the thing I'm most excited about right now with Zegras is still feels like there's a lot of runway for him to play better. Like, game number 69 this season, nice, will be the first game he plays as a 25-year-old. He is still 24 years of age. He's not playing center yet. I bet you he can get there just based on like the improvements we've seen in his game.
What are we waiting for?
He's paired a ton with Christian Dvorak thus far.
Okay.
And while Dvorak, as Charlie and I were talking pre-show, like perfectly, as Steve would say, perfectly cromulent third liner. Like, he is the epitome of a third line player. I have some XG numbers here for you, Charlie.
Okay.
I looked these up.
I like it.
I have been using Evolving Wild more. but these came from Natural Stat Trick.
Okay.
109 minutes and 40 seconds, 5-on-5 time with Dvorak. 54.44 expected goals for percentage. Decent.
It's quite good.
Quite good.
Yeah.
72-28 without Dvorak at 5-on-5. 63.65.
Curious. It's almost like when you put talented players with other talented players, good things happen.
But good things are still happening with Dvorak.
Not as many good things.
Quite a few good things.
Not as many.
In fact.
Don't make me argue with you.
And I'm
Charlie.
sure when he's out there with Dvorak, like the coach
Listen, I get it.
has more confidence in him in tougher matchups.
Yeah.
So maybe not as sheltered minutes. I didn't dig that far into it, but just the idea that you would think as, maybe a Porter Martone gets here or Matvei Michkov earns a little bit more of the coach's trust or whatever it is. Put him out there with TK. He'll eventually have...
Maybe not this version of TK.
Yeah, maybe not this version, but I got to believe the real Travis Konechny's in there somewhere. We just got to wake him up a little bit. Whatever. He'll eventually be playing more regular minutes with more talented players.
I hope so.
And that'll just boost the scoring numbers. But for he's doing this and a lot of it on the power play. And again, really impressed with Cates, Brink, all that. These are not first line players. They're good. I'm really impressed with what they've been doing, but maybe that's still another level, just having him out there with other really, really good guys. So I think that's the thing I'm most excited about right now is it feels like, he's doing this and there's more.
So what do you think it's going to take for them to finally do the thing that we were all expecting them to do, which is see if he can be a center? Because they're not doing it and he's playing really well. So is it just faceoffs? Does he need to get above 50% of faceoffs and then he's allowed to be center? Does he need to play like a Selke candidate?
No.
In order, I just don't
he's never going to be that.
I don't get why we're still if you want to play him with Christian Dvorak because you trust him because you're Rick Tocchet, whatever. But I still don't understand why we can't have Zegras as the center on that line and Dvorak as the wing. And if you need Dvorak to be the guy that sometimes goes down low and does center things and takes the faceoff because he's better at faceoffs, whatever. But nominally, make Zegras the center and let him do most of the center things, because the whole point of this season, getting Trevor Zegras, 1 year left on his contract, need to see what he has. Would it be cool if he turned into a 90-point winger? Sure, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. I would like to have one of those. But it would be even cooler if you could turn him back into a center, which is what he wants to play. And if we don't ever do it, we're not going to know if he can do it.
Yeah, I think my answer to you, number one, would be, again, and this is kind of the theme of my show today, is we're 13 games in. We are very early in the year.
Impatient.
There is more than enough time for, at some point down the road, Trevor Zegras to play center. We're still very early in the year. And this is, again, goes back to my point about sample size. All it would take would be two weeks of 0 points for Trevor Zegras, and then everybody's going to think he sucks.
Yes.
Which is exactly why I'm let's just take a step back. It's really exciting. I'm happy, but it's still very early. So number one, it's still very early. There's still a lot of time for him to get in the center spot. The other argument, and this would probably be the argument that Rick Tocchet would send back, is he's playing extremely well right now at wing. And this is coming off of 2 seasons where he wasn't very good overall, just in general.
Yes.
Why not keep him where he's thriving rather than be ooh, let's get him at center? Why not have him continue to play the position? He's playing very well to start the year, and then maybe somewhere down the road ease him back into the center position, which is obviously a more demanding position, which requires more responsibilities, which is maybe going to be tougher for him to thrive in, given the fact that wing is naturally an easier position to play.
I don't know. I just think there's a lot of ifs there. And I just think that until we see, we're not going to know. And it doesn't seem like Rick Tocchet is particularly interested. I
just disagree with the framing, because to me, the easier framing is guy is playing really well in one spot. The immediate answer should not be change that.
I think it should eventually, this should be a building to thing, and then he becomes a center. I'm okay with it now because it's been 13 games. In December, if it's he is primarily a wing. If in January, February, we have to build towards it. But that said, he's under team control for 2 more years. I'm not in a big rush, but it is like the number one hole for this team is top center, and this guy is billed as a center, or at least was at some point. Like, I do want to get there. I'm just like, it's not a problem for me yet.
I think that's
it is
where I'm
going
at.
well. But yeah, we have to get there. Like, you have to at least see. My thing coming in was give him 82 games, see how it goes.
Yeah.
Rick Tocchet clearly going in a different direction than that. He gave him a game, basically.
game.
Yeah, basically a game.
And then it was, okay, he's on the wing, he's doing the hybrid thing. I'm cool with building up to it, increasing the responsibilities as he earns them or as Rick Tocchet sees fit. I want to get there. I just don't know if it's, as of right now, a primary concern. But I do want to know if he can do it. And it's like important if he can or can't, because that kind of changes the way they need to attack drafts, off seasons, whatever.
And I think the front office gets that. I do.
I mean, and here's the thing, like, I do think you can hold two things in your head at once. Like, obviously, I'm very happy with the way Trevor Zegras is playing. It's been great for the team. It's been a lot of fun to watch. But also, I would like to see him as a center. Like, these two things can both be true.
Yeah, I guess where I'm at is I would be more frustrated if he was playing his not ideal position and not doing that well. Then it would be like,
That would
we'll put him back in the middle because that's the position he's comfortable with. And he said he's more comfortable down the middle. He's thriving at wing. So I'm not rushing to change things up when he's been, I think all of us probably agree, he's been the Flyers' best forward
for
this
sure.
year.
Oh, yeah.
Probably their best player, but definitely their best forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to do one more Zegras thing before we move on to the power play as a whole and talk a little goalie, a little Mish, but we got to take our first break. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I tell you about the 90 million users worldwide, how they're one of the pioneers of live in-game betting, and they have 78 different sports you can bet on live in-game. But right now, I got to tell you about that NHL early payout offer, and you would have been a winner if you bet Philly on the money line in the first period last night. No need to sweat out the comeback after they blow the lead and wait for the shootout to go final. Oh, they won, thank goodness. Nope. You would have been a winner with the early payout offer, because if your team goes up by 3 goals, you get an instant payout on straight bets, and your parlay selections are marked as winners with Bet365. We have breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $300 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. All you got to do is sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $300 in bonus bets, whether your initial bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or somebody who knows a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now I got to tell you about Factor, because Factor meals are saving people time. They are saving everybody in this office time and effort that they want to put towards other things, and they're pretty freaking tasty as well. And now with Factor, you get more variety, more meals. You can choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. And it'll support your wellness goals. You can enjoy more GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good for you fats. You can savor global flavors and just so much variety, from more choices to better nutrition. That's why 97% of customers that say that Factor help them live a healthier life. Feel the difference no matter your routine. Eat smart at factormeals.com/PHLY50 off and use code PHLY50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for a year. That's code PHLY50OFF at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for a year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase.
Yeah. One point I do want to make, though, about the idea of Zegras at center. I almost wonder if we are putting too much emphasis upon this, like, well, it's the faceoffs. Because, look, we all know coaches like to have centers who win faceoffs. But there's no talk of moving Noah Cates off center. He's bad at faceoffs, too.
Noah Cates is 43%, which is basically his career average. That is also Zegras' career average. But Cates is...
He's a hockey man's dream.
Yeah, like
That's
outside of the face-offs.
Yeah.
Cates does a lot of the down low work.
I mean, that's the big difference. Is that Cates is obviously a better player along the boards, a better player, physically, a better player just in terms of defensive coverages and recognition and things like that. So that's true. But I just wonder if maybe we're paying a little bit too much attention to this face-off thing because clearly they don't seem to mind it with Noah Cates.
Yeah, and there's, like we've said, there's a lot more to the center position than like where you stand when the puck gets dropped.
Yeah.
But I will say, I do want the puck on Zegras' stick, like more on breakouts and stuff, because he seems to be the only one who can like carry it through the neutral zone regularly. Like that's a thing he seems pretty good at, and I think we'll get there. But it would be nice to add some responsibility. But it's going so well right now. I can see why the coach is like, well, I'm going to change a good thing. Like a couple of months ago, I was telling this guy, do you want to be a hockey player or are you just here for social media?
Here for
like,
TikTok,
and now,
Oh, God.
Like,
I'm sorry I missed that conversation.
So I can't imagine he's in a big rush to be like, oh yeah, now let's give him more. But they do need to get there eventually.
I'd like to think that the front office and the people at the top still want to see what Trevor Zegras can do down the middle because, Kelly, as you said, they need to make decisions on their future roster based upon information that they need to gather about Trevor Zegras. They need to make a decision what contract they're willing to sign him to based on what position they think he's going to play. I mean, how much money do they really want to have tied up in a bunch of wingers? Eventually, you're going to have to pay some centers and defensemen big money if you want to have a cup contending team. Even if Zegras isn't an every night center, if he's he can play center 40 games a year guy, then suddenly you're a lot more willing to give him that big money contract over 7 years than you would be if he's just a pure winger.
Putting aside, like we've seen a bunch of highlights, points totals, that's going well. Have you noticed, Charlie, like when you're going back watching games, I know you do a lot of that for your tracking, like obvious holes in his game that you're like, that's the thing that they're worried about?
I mean, not a ton, but again, like when you're playing the wing, you have less responsibilities. You have fewer responsibilities. I've generally speaking not minded his defensive play. There have absolutely been some times where I wish he came in with a little bit more bite on the forecheck. I've seen that. But again, like skilled guys aren't necessarily going to be throwing the big hits as the F1. That's just not really their bag. So overall, not too much. There were some games in the early going where I didn't like the shift over shift consistency, but that has not been a problem the last few weeks. He's pretty much been impactful almost every shift. So it really just kind of comes down to, and I'm sure there's little details that the coaches are picking up, like, reads he's missing maybe as the winger coming in on breakouts and whatnot, seeing guys coming across. But there was even a play last night where he just does a little like between the legs. He's all along the boards, little between the legs, no look pass right to the center coming up through the defensive zone. Engineers a breakout. And it was just like, no big deal. I'm just doing this. It's easy. He makes it look so easy.
It was like it was a nifty pass, but also like a flat pass into the middle of the defensive zone. And I'm like, that is a confident man.
Yeah.
That is a guy who's feeling it right now because like, if you do that and you're getting benched. Like if that thing gets turned over, you're sitting a shift. Like that's just the way it goes.
But I think
he's just like, I can do this, and he does.
I think this is one difference between Tocchet and Torts.
Yeah.
Where Torts would say, I want guys to make plays. But then if you messed up while trying to make a play, you would get screamed at, you would get called out in video sessions. In some cases, you would get benched. I get the sense that Tocchet is a little bit more sincere about it, where, you can't be making mistakes all the time trying to make plays. Then maybe you've got a poor idea of your risk reward, where you think you can make this play all the time, but actually you're just not good enough. But,
well, actually, you suck.
But I do get the sense that Tocchet is more sincere about like, hey, when I tell you I want you to make plays, I really want you to make plays, and I'm not just going to blow up at you the one time you mess up.
All right. Where he has been making a ton of plays, Trevor Zegras, is the power play. Pico is not going to turn out the lights at the Xfinity Mobile Arena, which has been a real concern of mine in years past. Like, they're just going to stop sponsoring this. Like, they're going to.
At what point is it's just an embarrassment? Yeah.
Their name.
This makes you look terrible.
Exactly.
Like, but the power play, Charlie, it's fixed. your bold prediction has come true. At least for 13 games, they're at 20.9%.
Amazing.
14th. Your bold prediction.
Oh my God.
Your bold prediction was a top 15 power play, and here they are.
Look at that.
You did it.
Look at that. I fixed the power play.
Fixed
Good
the
job.
power
Well, it was
play.
my fault when it was bad. So
Yeah, it's obvious.
it's only fair that I get credit when it's good.
Yes, it was
35%.
Rocky
That's
Thompson, number 1 to blame, number 2,
Charlie Ryan.
the beat reporter.
He makes the lines.
Yeah, he makes the lines. Now that Isaac's gone, it's all Charlie's.
Somebody had to do it.
All right. Now the easy explanation for this improved power play. Well, Trevor Zegras, duh. Like he has. I had the numbers. Yeah, he's got 6 power play assists. Last year, TK and Michkov tied for the team lead in power play assists with 9. That was a full season. We are 13 games in, as we've pointed out multiple times. Frost led the team in 2023-24 with 8 power play assists. Like, he is going to break this by Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
At the latest.
Easily.
That's how well it's going on the power play with Trevor Zegras' unit. The other unit needs some work. But hey, we're over 1 for 5. So I will take it, considering we've been running at, I think, 14% over the last 4 seasons. I will take a 6% increase all day.
You talked about runway, about Zegras, like, oh, I look at this and I'm like, hey, he could be even better. This is one of the most exciting parts about Trevor Zegras. To me, this is one of the most exciting parts about the power play, is that the power play is, by the numbers, pretty solid. Not amazing,
Fine.
but pretty solid. It's a solid power play. And they're doing this with essentially nothing from their 2 leading scorers from last year, and Matvei Michkov and Travis Konechny.
Well,
They
yeah.
are doing crap on the power play, and it's still pretty good. You have to assume that at some point they're going to play better.
I mean, this was the second unit.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like they just kind of forced their way into being the top power play unit, and the other guys kind of played their way down into being the second. But yeah, it's pretty wild to see, just because, like, I mean, Noah Cates, I don't, everything about it is crazy
Yes.
to me. Like, it just seems like it. Like, I know it's not just Trevor Zegras making this happen. Obviously, the players around him are contributing, but it just seems like plugging him in just like turned everybody else on.
Yeah, they were having, like, the reason why because they started out the year with Couturier on this unit and Zegras with Michkov and Konechny, and then it was about, like, 3-4 games in, they switched it. But even before then, I felt like the Cates, Brink, Forster power play unit was looking better. Now it's looking a lot better because you've supercharged it with Zegras. But even before then, even with Zegras on the other unit, I thought the Brink, Cates, Forster unit was the more effective looking unit.
Well, they were generally the best players on the team at the start of the season. Yeah.
It really has. I mean, it makes a ton of sense the way they've done this now. And at first I was like, so you're splitting up Mish and Zegras? Oh, that's genius. But when you look at it, all right, we have this line that has some pretty good skill. They're good forecheckers. They work well together. They have chemistry. Before Forster got hurt, they've been together like 10 months, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Now, what if we add dynamic skill to that? Suddenly we have like all the elements of a power play. Guys who get to the net, guys who can cycle, guys with good distribution and finishing. And now it's, oh yeah, and Z is going to make behind the back passes to set up Cam York. Like, I don't know, seems like a pretty good formula.
Not bad.
And it does make a ton of sense, but I do want to point out the work of some other guys on that unit as well. We talked about this a little last night, but Noah Cates, man.
Yeah.
He's been so good.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And again, like face-offs, he's like 43%. That's basically his career average. It doesn't seem like that's something that has improved a ton, but everything else, you look at what this guy is doing, 9 points in 13 games. Danny signed him in June for a 4x4 that takes him through the season. He goes 29-30. That looks like one hell of a deal right now. And again, small sample. He could easily go 2 months without, with 4 points. But this looks like a bargain and a half for a guy who right now looks like an effective middle six, if not 2C.
Yeah, I said that last night, that he's playing right now like a second-line center. Not a second-line center on a bad team. Like an actual second-line center is what he's been looking like to start the year. Now, as is the recurring theme of this show for me, it's early. We're 13 games in. I'm not ready to say that Noah Cates is a 2C on a cup contender because he's off to a good start. But He's off to a really good start. And bringing it back to the point we're talking about right now, the power play. We're talking about a guy who's got what? He's got 3 power play assists and a power play goal. He's got 4 power play points in the first 13 games. This is a guy who is not a passenger on this power play. To me, I mean, yeah, Zegras is probably the creative driver. But Cates is a huge part of why that power play is successful. And I mentioned it last night. The work that he's doing down low along the boards to loosen up pucks when there's loose pucks in the slot. He's making sure that the Flyers keep puck possession. And it's honestly a great combination with him and Zegras because it's like Cates makes sure that Zegras has the puck more.
Yeah.
And the more Zegras has the puck, the more cool things he's going to get to do.
Yeah.
No, it's really, and that the Bobby Brink power play goal, like that is a pass to Cates, and him going to the net creates the rebound that Bobby Brink is able to score. It's the little things, guys, when we talk about the details, like that's how the little things become the big things. And it's just really impressive that Noah Cates is, like, he's turned himself into this kind of player just by working on the details of his game so much that all the other stuff has now seems to be coming around. Like we talked last year, like, yeah, this line's good. Is it sustainable they're scoring at this rate? Can that really be your best line? I don't think that's, the first line of a cup contending team.
No.
But it is a hell of a good matchup line. That is something that wins you a cup. We talk about like when you get to the conference final, when you get to the Stanley Cup final, I bet you the other team has an awesome first line. I bet you their second line would be the first line on half the teams in the league. What does your third line do? Like, I think third lines win you Stanley Cups. And
we saw last season with the Marchand line.
Yeah, like the Marchand line. I always go back to that HBK line. Like, what was the difference for the Penguins? Because they had the same core for how long, and then suddenly they have that line, and it's we go back to back. I feel like that is the sort of line that wins you a playoff series.
I feel like, Charlie, you've been saying Noah Cates is this guy for the last decade.
I mean, I've really liked him.
Yeah.
He and some of this is just my personal biases towards the types of players I like. Number one, his underlying numbers have always been good. But number two, there is an element to him that does remind me of peak Sean Couturier. Like, it's not exactly the same. Couturier, obviously, great face-off guy. Cates, not yet that guy. Couturier is also bigger. And he had a bigger track record of production at the junior level as opposed to Cates. But there are similarities in terms of their work ethic, in terms of their details, and in terms of their defensive acumen. He's one of those guys where, and I always love players like this, that when you watch them in person, you like them even more because then you can watch the things they're doing out of the camera frame that you don't usually see when you're watching on television, but when you're watching, especially up in the press box, but even in the stands, you can see all the things they're doing that don't show up on the score sheet, but legitimately help teams win. Cage has always been like that. And what's been exciting about this year is that he's still doing all those things, but now he's added more of an offensive element. He's more assertive on the puck. He's obviously establishing himself as a legitimately useful power play guy, which is something I never really expected they were going to get out of him. I thought he was always going to be a 5-on-5 and PK guy only.
Yeah, that's the thing. I never thought that he would even get a shot.
Yeah. Like I never had that in my head as something that he was going to become. And he is. And again, it's early, 13 games in, but so far he looks like he's a guy, and there's a couple of guys on the team that I can say this about, but he looks like a guy who is taking a bit of a leap.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's to me what this year is about. Like, the team will perform better overall as they were once young and now they are entering prime vets that are taking another step. And listen, I think what we saw last night and what we've seen over the last few games is kind of what this team's going to be. They're going to be inconsistent. They're going to have weekends where they're boring as hell and we hate them. And they're going to have games like last night where it clicks. Yeah. Now, if they could get a save last night, they blow out the best team in the East. Like, that's the way that game was going. But unfortunately, there were no saves in the second period. I think there were 4. Dan lost. That's the exciting part is the inconsistency is going to be part of the ride this year, and we're going to get to watch the individual players grow from that. Like, they're going to learn to win. This is we're turning the corner this year. It's no longer about subtraction. All right, but like turning the corner means you're here, and it's not going to be an escalator. This thing's going to be a little inconsistent, but when you see guys like Cates kind of coming into their own more so than they have, that's really exciting as well.
Yeah, when you made that point today on Philadelphia, which everyone should watch at 1:30 p.m., it kind of reset my brain a little bit. I'm like, Yeah, it's not an escalator. It's going to be a little bit like this, but as long as the line is going up
Yeah.
overall,
Yeah.
you're good.
It's like a zigzag, but like there's sometimes it's going to
Yeah.
zag down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And there were some downs this weekend, and had a down with Dan Vladar last night, but an up overall from the team. So I mean, like, yeah, it's I think it is something that we need to adjust our brains to. The idea that we're going to see flashes of a really good hockey team, but then we're also going to see that Calgary game.
Yeah. And again,
It is what it is.
the exciting part for me, and this, I've said this a lot, but I'm going to keep saying it until one or both of these guys really kick it in a high gear. The truly exciting part to me about this start for the Flyers is that they're doing not amazing, but they're presenting themselves as at least a competent, average NHL team that's going to be in the playoff bubble mix.
Yeah.
And they're doing this with Matvei Michkov not playing up to his standards and Travis Konecny not playing up to his. I have to believe that at some point both of those guys are going to get going. And if they can get going while you're also having Zegras rolling, and you've got Brink, and you've got Cates, and you've got Forster, and you've got, Tippett's always going to be, I think, inconsistent. I think that's part of his game. But you've got guys like York and Drysdale taking leaps. Suddenly, this gets to be a kind of exciting thing.
It does. We're going to talk a little about some of the inconsistencies, specifically the goalie and Matvei Michkov coming up. But we have to take another break. Now more than ever, Xfinity is your ultimate sports destination. If you call yourself a big fan, you just have to have Xfinity because it's the ultimate sports destination. Like I said, you can find all the best games and all your favorite teams all in one place. And the way you watch, it is next level. The enhanced 4K picture and sound makes you feel like you're in the arena. And you can watch up to 4 games at once with the multi-view. Last night, we have hockey, we have basketball going. Why would you want to choose if you don't have to? You can just watch both with the multi-view, up to 4 games at once, and you get real-time stats and notification live on your TV, so you can keep up on all your parlays and all your fantasy teams and all that fun stuff as well. So next game day, make sure you're a big fan and not a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box. Now it's time to tell you about Game Time. So if you're not watching on Xfinity, maybe you want to go to the game. Well, the best way to do it is with Game Time. You got to get all your NHL tickets from the Game Time app. It's my favorite secondary ticket marketplace because of things like the all-in pricing where there's never any surprises. You don't get all the way to checkout and realize, oh, the price has doubled because they show you all the fees and everything up front. You get a panoramic seat view, so you don't get to the arena and go, oh, I'm not where I thought I was sitting at all. This view is no good. Never happens with Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
All right, before we continue this conversation, we're not yet at 100 likes. Hit that like button. I know we have
Unacceptable.
we have over 200 people watching on YouTube right now. We need to blast past 100 and aim for 200 by the end of the show, but at the very least, blast past 100. 81, unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
Hit that like button.
I'm disappointed. After last night's game, come on. All right.
It's a great game.
Yeah, so the power play, it's fixed. Thank you, Charlie, for doing that.
Good job.
Dan Vladar, broken. First 6 games, we allowed 10 goals on 165 shots, 939 save percentage. I just figured he was winning the Vezina, and that was that.
Right.
Last 2 games, he has allowed 8 goals on 39 shots. That is a 795 save percentage, which brings him to a season total. He's 5-3-0 with a 912 and a 233 goals against. This is just probably what happens when you start the season with a 939. Like, is that, or do you think there's something else that's like, ooh, there's actually like,
I don't know. I just don't think you can think that deeply on goaltenders. They're just weird. Sometimes they stink for no reason. Like if he continues to stink for 2-3 more games, then okay, we got something to think about. But I don't know. Last night's game felt like such an aberration. It was just such a weird second period. Like every goal kind of sucked. Like he looked terrible, and it was really just didn't seem like the Dan Vladar that we've seen for the rest of this season. So like I'm willing to just chalk it up to like, buddy had a bad night. We're all moving on with our lives. But, got to see how he looks next time he gets a start.
Sure. That said, like, he's down to a 912 save percentage. Now, that's not 939. That's not, oh my God, he's going to win the Vezina. But
912 is so good for the Flyers.
Well, not even for the Flyers. Like in this current environment in the NHL, where league average save percentage is like 900, it's still really good. And this is after 2 straight not so great starts. I would say last night was, and to his credit, really, really good job in the shootout and overtime. But I would say overall, that was a bad start for Dan Vladar.
Totally.
This past weekend, it was more of a meh start for Dan Vladar. So again, we're dealing with small samples here, but we obviously were dealing with small samples when he was at 939 too. We were still excited about it, so I get it.
And I thought you put it perfectly in your article, Charlie. You wrote, Vladar's underwhelming game can be reframed as a successful battle through adversity, given his excellent work in overtime and the shootout. And
I like that, Charles.
This gets us back to what we talked about last night. How important that first impression is. Like, I am fully willing to accept, like, you know what? He was shaky even on the saves he made. I was like, whoa, bud.
Yeah.
Calm down. Like, you seem a little jittery, But he does battle through. He doesn't give up a goal in overtime or the shootout. And not giving up a goal to Montreal in overtime is like a pretty big deal. They score a lot of them.
Yeah.
I would not accept this framing for Sam Ersson.
I know you would.
Yeah,
I would not.
I know you wouldn't.
A giant bucket of samples from which we can pull our opinion of Sam Ersson.
But we also have a giant bucket of samples from Dan Vladar.
Not here.
Yeah, well,
doesn't
I'm
count.
saying in the NHL.
Pre-here, Dan Vladar doesn't exist to me, Charlie.
Okay.
I don't know him. The one that we have here, small sample size, he was good at the beginning. It was fun to watch. We all enjoyed it. So he gets a little bit of grace.
Okay.
Sam Ersson used up all his grace.
But we have talked about this aspect of the Vladar signing really since it happened, and we heard like, oh, this was kind of Kim Dillabaw's call. Like, he sees there's something more in this guy. Do you think this is maybe his first big test? Like a guy who clearly was locked in, and now he's regressing a little. He's got caught out of position a few times. Like the last night when he didn't seal the post, like that's one of the things I've been most impressed by is like he's had good positioning and sealed the post in those situations a lot this year.
Yeah, sure.
He's just kind of off. And we see this in other sports. Like sometimes a pitcher is awesome and then I don't know, he's tipping pitches or whatever. He goes through 2 weeks where you just can't find the strike zone and then he locks it back in. Do you think this is a test for Kim Dillabaugh now?
I mean, I feel like this whole season is a test for Kim Dillabaugh because in many ways he's coaching for his job.
That's fair.
Danny Briere basically just said, yeah, we're going to give him a look this year, which is not
great.
Not a huge vote of confidence. Like,
Yeah.
hey, he's going to get 1 year, and if the goalies stink again, we'll probably have a new goalie coach.
All right, bud.
More or less what he was saying.
We did saddle you with injury-prone Ersson and then 2 guys who are not NHL goalies. That's on us. Let's see what you do now. Like, it's very much a test for him the whole season. I just like, all right, this is something we can like, not just how does the season go as a whole, but how long does it take for Vladar, again, not to get back to 940 because that's ridiculous, but to kind of stay where he is. What if he does? If he does, we're going to the playoffs. That's what happens. But like, if you have a 940 and don't make the playoffs, every person on the team should be fired.
Yeah, you have the worst team.
so impressed.
Worst team in the league.
Yeah,
like
it would be so impressive.
that would actually be really impressive.
It would.
Like if he can now hold at 912, if he can be a 915 goalie, like can we get this thing back on the rails so it's not 4 goals every game? If we can just get back to, all right, these decently above average numbers, if we can hold this and not let it go to the point where, ooh, Coley's starting 2 games in a row, huh? Like, if it's like, I think this is a specific test for him.
Well, so one part about it though, I'm sorry, Kelly. One part about it though that I want to point out is that while this is absolutely a test for for Kim Dillabaugh in terms of like fixing Vladar or quickly addressing what issues have popped up in terms of his structure and his positioning and whatnot, there's probably going to be less time. Like, for example, if Ersson was healthy, then I think this would be more of like all right, Vladar's taking a little dip. Let's sit him out for a couple games, have him do some work one-on-one behind closed doors with Kim Dillabaugh, and then bring him back out there next week. Well, because Erson's hurt and it does seem like he's not going to be out for that long, they don't really have that luxury unless they want to toss Alexei Kolosov out there. And look, Kolosov was fine in his game this weekend, I would say, but I still have very vivid memories of how bad he was last year.
I'm not in a big hurry to strap on the workload.
Yeah, I acknowledge that Vladar was not good last night. I still think I go Vladar on Thursday.
I would,
for sure.
even if there was an Erson option, I think I'd want to get him back out there just to see. Like, how do you respond? Because that's always the thing. Like, you're going to have bad games. Connor Hellebuck has bad games. What do you do the next one?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to see from Vladar now.
So I haven't been here for a little bit. It's extremely funny to me that Sam Ersson is hurt already.
I feel
I just like,
it's a contract year. Like, I just wanted to see him kind of lock down a role. And it's all right, same old.
He had a few good games, and then he got hurt.
No,
It does seem like it's relatively minor. I believe the beats that were at practice today in Montreal said that he took a lot of reps in practice today, so could be eligible to come off IR as soon as Saturday. Maybe he does. Maybe this really was just like the groin's flaring up again. We got to be careful because this was a problem all last year.
Groin's flaring up.
Could be that simple.
When that happens.
But anyway, I'm just going back to,
it
goes back to the treatment of Ersson. Like, one of the reasons why I am hesitant to throw Ersson under the bus and fire him into the sun like a lot of people are is that I think one of the things that he did not, like, one thing that he didn't have the luxury of having the last year and a half was when a goalie, like Dan Vladar has had one bad game and one meh game. When you are not yet an established like Connor Hellebuck, Igor Shesterkin type goalie, where it's like, oh yeah, we trust you're going to figure it out. When you're in a tandem, this is the time when you take a seat for a week and you work with the goalie coach and you figure out, you identify what the problems are, you do some work in practice on those specific things, and then a week later, you're back in and hopefully you're fixed. Sam Ersson never had the opportunity to get those stretches because the other backup, they didn't have other backups.
Yeah.
They didn't have NHL caliber backups. It was sort of like, oh, Sam, you had 2 bad games? Well, sorry, you're going out there for 3 more because like we're not throwing the 6'7" guy who like is on his tiptoes half the game and the disgruntled goalie who hates Allentown out there. Sorry, you're gonna keep playing.
Why was he always looking over people like that?
They were so short at goalie at one point. Fedotov got off a plane and wore equipment that wasn't his and went and played in the freaking NHL.
Yeah, in a playoff race.
In a playoff race.
They were battling for a playoff spot, William. But my point is that like Ersson never had that luxury to be able to work on his game when he was struggling. It snowballed because whenever he was struggling, they just had to keep throwing him out there. Vladar is now getting an opportunity here where normally, given the way they want the standard to work, it'd be like, yeah, sit him for a week. Play Ersson a few games, see what he can do. Because Ersson is hurt, they may have to throw Vladar out there again on Thursday. Hopefully he turns it around. But if he doesn't, if he has another bad game, I'm not necessarily going to be like, well, Kim Dillaball screwed up because Kim Dillaball hasn't really had the ability to focus on the remedial aspects because Vladar really is their only clear-cut NHL caliber goalie right now.
All right, I hate to do this, but we have to take one more break.
Love a break.
We're going to California, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. It's the ultimate Flyers getaway. PHLY and Philly Sports Trips are going out to Cali for the California takeover. And we're not going alone. No, it's not just going to be us. It's going to be John LeClair as well from March 17th to the 22nd. We're hitting the West Coast for 2 huge games. First, we're going to go see those damn Ducks at the Honda Center. Then the LA Kings at the arena formerly known as Staples. Your package includes optional round-trip direct flights from Philly, a 5-night stay at the beautiful Sanborn Santa Monica, group tickets to both games, a Flyers watch party for the Sharks game, and an exclusive meet and greet with Flyers legend John LeClair. Plus, the Philly Sports Trips crew will be there to handle every detail so you can just enjoy the sun, the sights, and the hockey. This is the California vacation every Flyers fan has dreamt of, hopefully with a couple of wins as well. Spots are limited, so book your trip today at allphly.com/events. Now I got to tell you about Monarch Money. Listen, you want to go on this trip? Maybe you got to get your money right. There's no better way to do it with Monarch And it's really helped me because Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, and who hasn't, well, then Monarch is for you, because Monarch does the heavy lifting. They link all your accounts in minutes. You get clear data visuals, smart categorization of your spending, and real control over your money. And you'll never leave money on the table. And you don't need to track every dollar, but you can't ignore your finances entirely. That will cost you. If you're not on top of your money, you could be missing chances to save more, invest smarter, or hit your financial goals. Monarch helps you stay informed so nothing slips through the cracks. So don't let financial opportunity slip by you. Use code PHLY at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHLY. All right. Matvei Michkov. It's not going great. Now, listen, it's a totally different conversation today. Two awesome setups in the second period.
He looked good last night.
Couturier whiffs, Dvorak gets stoned, and he doesn't have 2 assists.
Right.
Like, sometimes that happens, but it just feels like now it's, again, small sample, but 13 games seems like enough to be like 6 points in 13 games isn't good enough. Like, we need a little bit more out of Matvei Michkov. And again, could have easily had 2 assists last night, but he didn't. And it's a continuation of the man only has 1 goal. He has 1 goal so far this season. He has a nose for the net like few guys we've seen in recent memory in Philadelphia. We saw it last year, 26 goals as a rookie. It's just not happening for him right now. And you see the ice time through 13 games last year. He was averaging 1850. This year, 1501. Way down from what he was getting last season. Not getting the power play time because the other unit is better. Right. He's kind of been a third liner for the team thus far.
Lots of penalties.
It just hasn't. He's taken some penalties. The team as a whole takes a ton of penalties.
So.
He took a few early in the season. That's calmed down a little. But the team as a whole is taking 5 minors a game.
Not great.
That takes away from his chances to be on the ice.
True.
I think a lot of this is on Mish. Like, he just has to play better. How would you, though, rate Tocchet's handling of the situation thus far?
I don't love it, which I don't think is going to be a surprise to anybody. I didn't love when Tortorella handled him this way, and I don't like it now. Like, if I recall correctly, Tocchet said at the beginning of the season that this is a guy that's got to play his way out of this funk. He's got to.
Yeah, it was more specifically.
Why I'm not going to scratch it.
It was more specifically about like the conditioning issues, but yes, the funk in general, sure.
So, letting him play through it would probably be better than not. That said, I do think that the penalties are probably the biggest factor in why he's not getting as much ice time as we would like, because the team's on the penalty kill a lot. Obviously, he's not going to get PK time. And I think that it seems to be more situational and less like I'm benching you for the third or whatever. Like it definitely doesn't seem as bad as it was with Tortorella. But on the other side of that coin, like, he has not looked great for long stretches of this 13-game season. And the conditioning thing seems to be picking up speed in the national media. Like, I think LeBron was talking about it.
Yeah. Well, it's real. Like, and that's the thing.
And that worries me a little bit, just because, first of all, he must have been real out of shape, because he's a very young man and he still looks like not great 13 games in. So, like, how far gone did you get, bud? Like, what were you doing in Dubai all summer? So, and that kind of falls outside all of the opinions that I'd formed about him in my head, based on like the things that he said when he got here and his attitude as a whole towards playing. Like, and now I'm like, oh, is he not that guy? Like, is he not the I'm going to push tires up the mountain because I want to win a Stanley Cup guy? Like, is he not? Or like, did he get a little too cocky last season because he looked so good and he thought, I don't even need to try because I'm so good, I can just like roll into camp chunky and out of shape and no one's going to care because I'm Matvei Michkov? Because that attitude's not great either. And this is like speculation. I have no reason to believe any of this is true. But it's like the stuff that kicks around in my head when like these stories about the conditioning get, picking up traction, and he's still not looking very good. Like Bill said, 1 goal over 13 games, not good enough. Like, there's just so many things adding up that are making me worry. And I don't want to worry because, like, I know you're going to say, the talent is obviously there. And we just have to trust that eventually it's going to come around. But it's just like, I know it's only 13 games, but that feels like enough runway for someone this young to get himself back together.
It was game 13 last season. Tortorella only played him. He played him under 14 minutes. And then games 14 and 15, he was a scratch. We're coming up on the anniversary. November 7th and 9th are the games he was held out of.
Party.
We should.
Yeah, I think where I'm at with it, Kelly, really at its core, and this plays into why I'm just not that concerned about it, is that he's 20. Yeah. Like, I think that, and look, I'm obviously wasn't a professional athlete at age 20, but I think back to like how many times when I was like 20, 21 years old, did I tell myself like, yeah, I'm totally going to go to the gym 3 times this week. Like I'm going to run 3 miles. I can do it. And then what am I doing instead? I'm sitting in front of the TV, drinking beer and playing video games. Like I was 20, I was immature, and that's just what, you know, and in my head, I'm like, whatever, it won't have that big of an impact. I'll go tomorrow. And I just think maybe that's what happened this summer. Probably. And then it probably got magnified and amplified by the fact, it's probably what he was telling himself all summer is he's like, you know, my buddies invited me to Dubai. I'm going to go. But man, in August, I'm going to hit it hard. And that's how I'm going to be ready. And then the ankle happened. So it was like, he got behind the 8 ball. And then right when he's probably about to be like, all right, now I'm going to make up for lost time. Then he couldn't. And then it's like, uh-oh.
So I mean, I saw some people on social media kicking around the idea that the ankle thing was fake.
No, the ankle was
real.
It was the ankle was definitely real. Do I think that the Flyers maybe leaned on it a little bit more as an explanation because they were maybe trying to shield him a little bit from criticism? Yeah, I do think so. But I heard from people after the ankle injury got announced, I heard from people that were like, I knew about this way back in early September, and I don't know why they didn't tell everybody then. Yeah. Because then that would have made it less of a big deal when he gets off to a slow start. Like, why were you trying to hide this? You knew. Yeah. You should have just been like, yeah, he was dealing with an ankle injury, and he might get off to a slow start, and prime the waters, rather than it be like 5-6 games into the year, and he looks bad, and it's like, oh, by the way, he had an ankle injury. Like, well, then it looks like you're making it up. Yeah. But no, the ankle injury was real, but I also think that that's not the whole story. I think that Michkov maybe
had a little too much fun.
He was a teenager. Yeah. He was 20 years old. And this isn't like, this is only a problem if it recurs. If this is a one-time thing where, hey, you know, just got done his rookie year, was going back home after a long season in a country that he's not familiar with, speaking a language he doesn't know, and he blew off some steam and didn't take training quite as seriously as maybe he should have one time, that's fine. If it happens next summer and then the summer after that, then you worry. But at this stage, I'm willing to just be like, dude was 20. I was real stupid when I was 20, whatever.
And like, I don't know the specifics of how Matvei Michkov grew up, but he's personally rich now. Like, I don't know if that was ever the case for him before.
It's
he
fair.
Probably won. Like, I know like the ELC, it's like 950 is the cap hit. He made like $4 million last year.
Yeah, with the
I bet
he got
950's rich, fam.
Yeah, seriously.
I'd be balling out.
I'm just saying, like, he's like he's never a millionaire now. He probably wanted to enjoy his summer, and so do I. I understand. I'm 37. I'm immature. Yeah. But like, I need this to go away and stop being a thing, so I don't have to worry about the best player in the team.
It's just, I just think, like, as a fan, it's the terrifying thought that he's not going to be what we think he's going to be because Flyers cursed and nothing good ever happens to us. And like the last 45 years of my life, like all of these things are just in there. And it's just like, I need him to be what we think he's going to be, because literally the whole thing is built on it. He is the base of the pyramid. And if he's not going to be that guy, I don't know what happens here. And then I'm definitely...
Zegras and Martone are, and it's not a big deal.
I know, but is that enough? Like, I don't know. Like, wouldn't it be better if it's the three of them?
If Martone's a 100-point guy and Zegras is a 90, maybe it's enough.
I just want to be alive when they win a Stanley Cup. That's all I want.
I think that's all we want. And now we're headed to overtime.
Yeah.
Go to allphly.com to keep watching as we wrap it up with some super chats.
Super chat time.
All right. And just one.
Just
Perfect.
one.
All right. JH says,
Kelly Show.
Kelly Show checking in from Miami. Philly is better. That's all.
Hell yeah.
Yes, it
Florida
is.
does
Because
suck.
as fun as Miami might be, it is still in Florida.
It's Florida.
that
I was in
wrong?
Florida all last week. It's so Florida.
I usually enjoy my time in Florida when I go down
wasn't at the
to covering games and whatnot. The weather in Fort Lauderdale when I was down for the season opener, it was awful. It was so humid.
Yeah.
It was
Raining
It was
alligators.
raining all the time. It would be like raining for 2 hours. Then the sun would come out. I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll go to the beach. Then it would start raining again. It was miserable. It was like, man, maybe I'm more of like a west side of Florida because I really like the Tampa area, like Tampa, St. Pete, that area I really enjoy. Maybe I'm not so much an East Coast of Florida person.
The only thing,
Great grouper sandwiches
the
there.
only thing I liked about Florida was the tiny lizards. They were
Tiny
very
lizards.
cute. I liked them.
I mean, I did see a couple tiny lizards when I was there. They are cute. But going back to Michkov for a second, because we really didn't talk about the time on ice too much, and maybe this is a show that was maybe a little bit harder on Michkov for the conditioning things that it very much seems like are real. I will say, and this is someone who I don't usually complain about time on ice. I do think that not every game. There have been some games where Michkov has just looked bad, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? You can't play him.
And we've
It's
had
fine.
a lot of other guys going. Like the Cates line at one point was really going. Tippett was really going. Like, if you're not on those lines, you're not going to get the same time.
But there have also been games where he's been looking good, and I haven't seen Tocchet trying to get him more shifts. Because I made this point on the show last night, and I hold to it. It's clearly not that Tocchet doesn't like skill, because he's given Trevor Zegras 23 minutes a night. Like, this isn't I only play the grinders. Like, Zegras is the epitome of a skill guy, and he's piling the minutes onto Trevor Zegras. So it's not like he won't give Michkov the minutes. He just hasn't been. And the frustrating part for me is that, he clearly sees when Zegras is having good games, and he's like, give him all the minutes. Zegras doesn't kill penalties. So it's not like the penalty thing is a full-fledged excuse for Michkov. It's just that basically, when Michkov is playing well, it doesn't seem like Tocchet is focused on he's rolling, I got to give him more minutes. I would like him to do that a little bit more. Not every night. The nights he's struggling, play him 13, 14, 15. That's fine. But if he's going, I want to see him getting 17, 18, 19. I want to see you find ways to get him extra shifts the way you're finding ways to get Trevor Zegras extra
That
shifts.
would be nice.
I fully agree. All right. And that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers today. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for hanging out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow us right here on the YouTube page. And hit the like button. 122 is good. We want 200. I want 250 by the time I get home, quite honestly. All right. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. And follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. I am Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. That's Kelly Hinkle. Thank you to Brenna. Till tomorrow, be excellent to each other.
We all silly like the mayor.